The Secret of Happiness. Once upon a time in a beautiful town, there lived an elderly grandma. She was always cheerful, kind, and wise. No matter what happened, she remained calm and content. People in the town loved her and often came to her for advice when they were troubled. One day, a young girl came to the grandma's house looking puzzled. She asked, "Grandma, why are you always so happy? Don't you ever feel sad? What do you do when you face difficulties?" The grandma smiled and replied, "My dear, life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes it's smooth and sometimes it's difficult. But I've learned an important lesson. Happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances." The girl frowned, not quite understanding. "What do you mean? If something bad happens, like losing something important, how can you still be happy?" The grandma sighed softly and said, "Let me tell you a story from my life. When I was young, my husband and I ran a small shop. We were not rich, but we were happy. However, one year a fire broke out in our town, and our shop was completely destroyed. We lost all our savings. I was devastated and felt hopeless." The girl widened her eyes in curiosity and asked, "How did you get through that?" The grandma nodded and continued, "I cried for many days. But one day I saw a small flower growing in the ashes of our burnt shop. Despite the destruction around it, it stood strong and kept growing. At that moment, I realized that even in difficult times, we have a choice in how we respond. I decided not to stay in sadness, but to look for new hope." The girl pondered and asked, "But what if life is really tough? What if there's nothing to be happy about?" The grandma smiled gently and said, "Every morning I tell myself, today is a new day, and I will find something to be grateful for. Sometimes it's the warmth of the sun. Sometimes it's a kind greeting from a friend. Even on the hardest days, there's always something to cherish." The girl seemed to understand but still had doubts. "But what if something really terrible happens? Like losing the most important person in your life?" The grandma nodded and said, "Of course, such things are very painful, but I remind myself, this too shall pass. Whether good or bad, time moves forward. What I can do is cherish what I still have, my health, my friends, or simply the fact that I am alive." The girl fell into deep thought after hearing the grandma's words. She thanked her for her wisdom and decided to try her method. From that day on, the girl began to look for small joys in life. Gradually, she realized that even in difficult times, she could find things to be grateful for, and her life became better. The grandma's story spread throughout the town. People started to understand that happiness does not depend on how much they have, but on how they view life. From then on, the town became a warmer place, and everyone learned to cherish the small joys of life. Happiness is a choice. No matter how hard life gets, we can always choose to find the good and maintain a positive mindset.